In all the games known to man, baseball happens to be the funniest. You know why? It's not because the game itself is kind of humorous to watch, but the goose that happened before and during the matches makes you want to stick around. These mishaps have cost teams games, potentially costing a World Series, sparked protests, caused games to be cancelled, and even resulted in arrests. However, most of the time, these errors are met with boos and laughter. For example, when Milton Bradley gets a fly ball with 1 out in the 8th inning, he plays it off to the side and doesn't know how many outs there are, so he just throws the ball into them. With only 2 outs, Bradley tossed the ball into the bleachers, allowing 1 run to score and another to go to third. This happens more often than you might think, like as when Anthony Goza made a running catch and then continued running for some reason. He felt really stupid after scoring from second. Typically, this causes players to appear stupid for a split second, realize they messed up, and then laugh at themselves with no consequences. When Benny Agbayani made this move while winning a 2-0, it actually screwed the squad over. The Giants tied the game on a sac fly, but Benny thought there were 3 outs and tossed the ball to a kid, before realizing there were only 2 outs. He tried to take the ball away from the boy, but it was too late. The Giants had scored and were now up 2-1. People are irritated when a player commits a dumb error that costs their team a game. When the ground staff makes a dumb error that costs a team a game, they're likely to be fired. That's what happened to the Marlins, who made the exceedingly weird choice to hire staff during their first season ever by going to a local high school and employing high teenagers to be in charge of the tarp. According to one of the crew members, this was the first time they had to put the tarp out during a game, and for some reason rolled it out into the outfield. They began pulling it all the way into the infield, but the tarp became stuck, forcing the ground crew to restart. They attempted to drag it out again, but it became stuck. They attempted it again, this time with greater speed. It became trapped once more. They tried a third time with increased speed, but it became stuck again. It became so terrible that the Marlins manager came out to assist them. They attempted again with even more people and got stranded once more. It grew so terrible that the Marlins manager stopped attempting to assist them. The grounds crew tried a new tactic by bringing the tarp all the way to the field. They tried again, and this time they were successful, but barely covered half of the infield. After 6 efforts and more than 20 minutes, they were eventually able to drag the tarps into the infield. Unfortunately, the rain had stopped by this moment, and the field was flooded. What should have been a 20-minute delay turned into an hour and a half, and the whole grounds crew of high school students was fired after the game. During harsh weather, problems with the tarp are unavoidable, such as when the Pirates ground crew got the tarp trapped and practically had a member of the squad swallowed by it. He had to be rescued by Pirates players who had to become ground staff and hold down the tarp in the pouring rain. This member of the ground crew was swallowed by the tarp. Nobody noticed, and he had to crawl out while struggling for his life. The Yankees ground crew made such a mess of the field in 2014 that the game had to be cancelled in the 5th inning. However, because the Yankees were leading by a run at the time, the grounds crew error cost them the game. In 2018, the Phillies ground crew forgot to put down the tarp, and when it rained overnight and the field became drenched, they attempted to dry it up with a flamethrower. That didn't work, and the game was cancelled despite the fact that the weather was perfect. So why don't they just design a tarp that rolls itself, eliminating the need for ground staff people and unnecessary delays? They had this in the 1980s, and it nearly destroyed a player's career. Vince Coleman earned the league's Rookie of the Year and had the most stolen bases. The Cardinals relied heavily on him during their run to the World Series, but in Game 4 of the NLCS, he and his teammates were hanging out on the field before the game when the automatic tarp began rolling out on the field for whatever reason. Coleman's back turned, and the half-ton metal tube crushed and fractured his leg, ending his season before the most critical series of his career. Since then, automatic tarps have all but vanished, while the number of stadium staff has steadily increased. They normally do an excellent job, but this is not always the case. As in New York, when the grounds workers caused the sprinkler system to go off during a game in Arizona. JJ Putz was ready to throw a pitch when this sound guy inadvertently pressed a button that produced the most bizarre sound ever heard. Batboys are continuously making incredible plays while also making some of the worst mistakes imaginable. But this one made the worst error a Batboy can make, collecting a fair ball and hurling it into the stands. A few moments later, another ball appeared in front of him. It was filthy, but he was so afraid of messing up again that he remained perfectly still. However, the Giants' choice to hire senior folks as Batboys is possibly the most baffling. On the one hand, this is a wonderful gesture. It was originally part of their senior involvement program, which gave older folks the opportunity to get involved and accomplish something they would not have otherwise. Every year, hundreds of old ball boys apply, and only a few dozen are chosen to attend a ball. Grounders pop flies and answer trivia questions during tryouts, where they practice catching. The Giants then select the best old ball boys and girls to execute it. In real-world games, this has resulted in extraordinary significant delays as they attempt to traverse large distances, potentially resulting in serious injuries. However, that could be the best and coolest stupid concept in baseball history. This second idiotic concept sounded good at first, but turned out to be so bad that it may have cost a team a game. These moves were stupid, although they had little impact on the game's outcome. Plenty of stupid plays, such as when the Giants hit a ball to right field in the bottom of the ninth inning in a tie game. Because the outfielder missed it, all the runner had to do was run around the bases and the Giants would win. He went the wrong way, then realized he had gone the wrong way and went the right way, but missed the bag. So he had to go back the wrong way to touch the bag, and then he tried to get to third. In any case, he should have won by a mile. But no idiotic mistake in baseball history has ever ruined a club more than this one in the 8th inning of a tie game. Terry Pendleton hit a double in Game 7 of the World Series that should have easily put the Braves ahead 1-0. However, Lonnie Smith was duped by the second baseman who did this, believing the ball had been caught and coming to a complete stop. The Braves failed to score, and the game went into extra innings tied 0-0, implying that this could have been the difference. The Twins eventually walked them off the field and won the World Series. But even this play isn't the dumbest ever. That honor goes to this guy who did the age-old ploy of running onto the field during a game. Earlier in 2022, a spectator attempted it in order to propose to his lover. Security apprehended and destroyed him as he got down on one knee. Boo! However, another player may have been the most astute in running across the field during the game. Here's how it went down. The individual sprinted onto the field, vaulted over the outfield wall, avoided another guard, climbed into the batter's eye, and jumped out of the stadium without being apprehended. This was an incredible performance, but he was apparently detained outside the stadium immediately afterwards. The stupidest offender was in Philadelphia, when another fan made headlines after being tasered on the field while jogging on it. This made national headlines, generated national debate, and heightened security at Citizens Bank Park. Despite all of this unfavorable exposure, another fan did it the next night. He presumably raced onto the field and attempted to flee, but became fatigued and gave up as he walked off the field. He was booed and jeered, even yelled at. Following the game, it was reported that he was charged with defiant trespass, disorderly conduct, and possession, implying that this individual ran onto the field knowing he was going to be detained, while also knowing that he had illegal substances in his pocket. I promise, it doesn't get much dumber than that. Hit the comments and let us know which was your funniest moment of the video. Don't forget to subscribe and check out our next video.